Tackling all the elements of a quality inquiry investigation with students can be a bit overwhelming. So, what could be expected for a kindergarten teacher? We tackle that question today in the Inquiry Zone. Hello, everybody. This is John Taylor from ETHOS Innovation Center, Director of STEM Education.
And I'm Douglas Hunnings here at the ETHOS Innovation Center, and I'm the Director of Primary STEM Education.
So we have a question worth talking about.
It is a great question, John. It is from a teacher that has gone through some of our training. They've actually completed the inquiry zone, and she reached out with this great question. It says, I teach kindergarten, and I have been working so hard to try to implement all the steps of the inquiry process, and I'm stressed out. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Please help.
You know, I'd be stressed out too. Kindergartners, oh my word! All right, so we're herding cats.
I love the ambition.
I do too.
I love how this teacher is putting into practice what she's learning, and she wants to do good science for her kids. I love that.
Yes, I do. And, you know, I think it's that argument between going wide or going deep. And I know as teachers, with all the standards and the testing things we have to do, we're always pushed to go so wide, so wide. And this is definitely like, you know, as a teacher, we talk about power standards. And we hit those first, and we really hunker down on those. Those are where we go deep. And I think with inquiry, you know, you start thinking about it. So we have these steps of inquiry. We start off with questioning. Oh, no, observations, and then questioning, and then predictions. But each of these steps is foundational to the next step.
Yes.
So it makes sense to go deep at these. And I guess we should just answer the question that, does she need to cover all 7 steps?
No,
No.
I would say not. Now, if you're thinking of exposure, would it be appropriate for her, maybe if she wanted to do a whole class experience and then talk about those terms, say the word prediction, hypothesis, collecting data? Yes, I think that's appropriate. But when you're trying to assess what her students need that's developmentally appropriate, I say we take it slow and just stay at that base level, especially at the kindergarten level.
Yeah, and it does pay to be strategic here. That kindergarten talk to first talk to second. That, you know, maybe the kindergarten teachers are making sure that the first few steps on the inquiry ladder are done very well and very deep. So when they go on to first grade, those are in place, and the next teacher can keep building on that. Yes. They had this exposure through the whole spectrum of getting even to like what a presentation would be. They might know what that is, but not that they're having to do that by themselves. And it is very much a very light class exposure, because again, it's that foundational thing. We're really laying down the deepest soil here. We're just kind of laying it there so that it sets with them.
And when you're starting at that lower level, if they really just focused on making an observation, you know, what are your 5 senses? How do we use those 5 senses? And then take those observations and turn them into a question. You know, in my opinion, if that's what a kindergarten teacher would focus on for their whole year, that's good science in a kindergarten classroom. If they leave that school year knowing how to make an observation and how to ask a question from an observation, yes, I would say that was a very successful year.
From the observation. You don't think that being a big skill? That's a big skill. Wow. And if you get into, boy, making predictions off of that, wow. You know, I think sometimes we always think you have to answer the prediction, answer the question. No, it's just forming those is a skill in itself. Definitely. You know, I think also the question would be then, well, if you've handled those in the lower levels, when they get to the upper grades, can't we just skip those first steps?
Oh, no. I think that would just cause harm.
Yes.
It's good that we have that foundation, but, you know, and I know you agree with me, John, students need to be making observations every year, even all the way up to the high school level. Students should continue to start with those observations and not think, oh, we're the upper level, so we're just going to jump right into making a hypothesis, or we're going to just dive right into, you know, collecting data and analyzing it. Oh, pull back. start those observations, and then move on from there.
Now, the difference is what an observation looks like for a
Yes.
kindergartner compared to an observation for like a junior in high school. We're expecting something more, something different, something more dynamic, that they're coming at it different angles. Whereas with the kindergartner, it might just be, it's a very simple observation. Maybe they're drawing images that they're seeing. Maybe they're writing down a word for what they're seeing. Just very simple
Just
step.
the color or the shape
Yes,
or the size.
exactly.
And one thing that I really like, and it really helped me, when you think of reading language arts, and at the elementary level, we were taught the primary grades, they're teaching the students how to read. And then when you get to the intermediate, they're reading to learn. So they first start they learn to read, and then they read the information to learn. Well, you can apply the same idea with science. In my opinion and thoughts, the primary grades, they're learning how to think like a scientist by going through the inquiry steps. And then when you get to the upper, they're going to think like a scientist to learn the content, the different concepts. So that's a way to kind of help think of, when you think of the progression of when to introduce the different skills and at what grade level should those be proficient. That's a kind of another spectrum to help make that connection, to help teachers, because they know the idea of reading, just apply the idea, the same concept to science.
And I think we've started to finally see this at the science fair. You and I have been involved with science fair for a very long time. That we're starting to see that what is expected in the youngest grades, it's kind of a thing, well, it's okay if the parent and the teacher help them out. And I think that is because it is a modeling approach, and we want them to have fun learning, again, about what it means to be a scientist. Now, as the upper grades, it does change. You should expect something differently. And you made a good point that if you had a second grader doing a project and a fourth grader doing that same project, we shouldn't expect those to be scored the same.
Nope.
If they did the same project and came out with the same quality at the end, the second grader should actually achieve a higher ribbon, I would think.
I would agree with that, because it's all about what was developmentally appropriate.
Yes.
Well, in this case, the second, fourth grade, if they have the same project, it's either A, the fourth grader wasn't working to their potential, or the other options, the fourth grade was, but that second grader really excelled themselves.
Yes.
That's why there should be that difference in the outcome of how they did on their project.
Well, I am amazed at the work that kindergarten, first and second grade teachers do. And I hope they realize that what they do makes such an impact at everybody at the grades on up. I mean, kindergarten, you're dealing with a spectrum of abilities, such a difference what the kids come up with. And they have to normalize that, bring everybody and get them going. Challenge. It is a challenge. And I think that is a time where, even with this science, it is a time to let kids differentiate out a little bit. That some of the go-getters, having an awareness of those steps, even just the terms, it's enough for the kids to be able to become that Jimmy Neutron on their own a little bit, at least in their mind, start thinking about, oh, hey, I could be a scientist someday, or I could be an engineer, or I could be a doctor, and all these kind of things. You're given the tools to do that, which is amazing.
So John, this was such a great discussion. I loved this question. And again, I love how the teachers are going out there and they're doing this, and they're still reaching out and asking questions, which is what we want. So thank you to all that you have watched, that you've submitted questions, and we're just so excited that we could be there to help you and learn from you as well.
And if you have questions, make sure to send those on to us. You'll see the email at the bottom of the screen. Just follow that and send your inquiry questions in for us, as we're just helping each other out. We're teachers helping teachers. Thank you very much. And thank you for coming to the Inquiry Zone.
Have a good day. See you next time.
Yeah.